Good morning from North Dakota. Today I'm starting a ride from Fargo, North Dakota all the way across into eastern Montana, and I'm going to take you guys along for the ride with me. I've never been here before, but I'm headed to Montana, which I've also really never ridden before other than Beartooth Highway. Y'all have seen that on the channel a couple times. You might see it again soon. But in order for me to get there, I'm gonna have to ride all the way across North Dakota on the interstate. And since I don't travel through here much, I figured I'd take you guys along for the ride with me because there's a few things I want to check out along the way. I decided to stay here in Fargo last night, honestly, simply because there was a Best Western Plus here, and y'all know I like to stay at Best Westerns. And I had ridden 600 miles yesterday from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Fargo, and after celebrating for 3 days at the homecoming event, I was just so tired and my brain was barely working. It's still barely working. That I kind of just decided to stop here and get some rest for the evening. There is a little saloon here, like right across the street. It's basically in the same parking lot that has pretty good food. It's called Wild Bill's Saloon. I went there last night, which was so nice because I was able to park the bike, get it unloaded, and then basically just walk over in flip-flops, which was so convenient. But yeah, it's about 7:15 right now, and I think it's time to hit the road. So let's go. Now I'm about an hour and 20 minutes west of Fargo at my first stop of the day, and that is Frontier Village here in Jamestown, North Dakota, which is home to the world's largest buffalo. I'll head over there in just a second, but I did want to mention that Frontier Village here is actually comprised of all of these historic little buildings, and they were all brought in from little towns all over North Dakota. They were donated and then kind of renovated over time, and they kind of just depict different things. There's one that's an old jail, there's one that's a saloon, and inside the jail there's even like the old jail cells that were donated and brought in. Inside the saloon there's like an old bar. There's actually there's all kinds of old historic stuff here, which is so cool. There's also a buffalo museum here, which has a great white buffalo inside of it. There's a herd here. You can actually see them out here on the hill right now. It's a little herd, but back in like the 90s and 2010s, there was a white buffalo in that herd called White Cloud, and it passed away in 2016, and they have it on display in the museum, but the museum doesn't open until 10 a.m. and it is 9:30 a.m. on a Sunday, so I am here a little bit early right now. But yeah, let's go ahead and go check out this big old buffalo. And before any of you start commenting about buffalo versus bison, I'm very aware that the actual term is bison, but we're just gonna go with what all the signs said coming in here, and that's buffalo. The world's largest buffalo monument is also known as Dakota Thunder. It's 26 feet tall, 14 feet wide, and 46 feet long. It was built in 1959 with nearly 60 tons of concrete and has been one of the most popular roadside attractions in the Midwest for over 50 years. Well, this was a quick stop, and back on the road we go. I'm officially about halfway done with the riding today, and so far it's actually been pretty enjoyable. I'm surprised by how many lakes are near the road. I mean, I would guess they're lakes. They're definitely bodies of water. I don't know how deep they are. I did notice one of those big like jumping blobs on one a distance a ways off the interstate, but it's been a nice ride. It's also not too hot for late July. It's a little hazy and smoky outside due to some wildfires in the area, but overall, not too bad of a day. But I did decide to stop in Bismarck for lunch at the Blarney Stone Pub. This spot has come highly recommended to me by multiple people. There is one in Fargo as well. It was actually pretty close to my hotel, but I did not know that until after I went and ate last night, so I couldn't pass this spot up today and try it out. But they have a ton of options, all kinds of Irish themed stuff. I mean, the menu's massive. But I did get one of their lunch specials, which is a smaller portion of the corned beef and creamed cabbage. Now we wait for it to come out. That's really good. So I don't have anything to like relate proper corned beef and cabbage to, but so far this is really good. The corned beef is really tender, nice and shredded up. I feel like the only time I've ever had corned beef, it's been like diced and out of a can, which is obviously not the real thing. Well, so far this is great. Now this creamed cabbage looks really good. I've never had like a proper creamed cabbage, but I think it's got like little bits of ham in it. It's super tasty. I love cabbage, so naturally I enjoy this. This was a super quick stop, but I will say that I would totally come back here if I was ever in Bismarck or West Fargo, since I know that there's one of these in Fargo as well. I never really eat Irish style food, but anytime I do get to eat it, I do enjoy it. I don't know, I just don't ever think to eat it, I guess, if there's other options available. But yeah, this was a great wreck, y'all, so thank you. But I wish I could stop and hang out in Bismarck a bit longer. There are some other things I'd like to see, like Fort Abraham Lincoln State Park. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna have time to do that on this trip, but there are a few more things that I want to see today before we get into Montana. So let's get back on the road. Now we're only about 30 miles west of Bismarck, but you can't be going west through North Dakota and not stop and see Salem Sue. This is actually the top thing that y'all told me I had to stop and see in North Dakota. So of course I've got to stop and see the world's largest Holstein cow. Now Salem Sue is the world's largest Holstein cow. She is 38 feet tall by 50 feet long and weighs 12,000 pounds. And the only reason that I know any of that is because there's a little sign right here that tells me all of it. If you want to stop here, you could get in and out of here in 5 minutes, but if you're filming, plan for 15, maybe 20. Anyway, back on the road, and our next stop is about 100 miles away, which is Theodore Roosevelt National Park. I'm very excited because obviously I've never been to North Dakota. Theodore Roosevelt National Park is named in honor of the 26th U.S. President, Theodore Roosevelt, who had a deep personal connection to the region. Roosevelt first visited the Dakota Territory in 1883 to hunt bison and fell in love with the rugged beauty of the Badlands. After suffering personal tragedies, including the loss of his wife and mother, he returned to the area to run cattle ranches and heal. His experiences in the Badlands shaped his conservation philosophy, which later influenced his policies as president, where he championed the protection of natural resources. The park itself was established on November 10, 1978, and preserves the landscapes that Roosevelt admired, including rolling hills, Badlands formations, and the Little Missouri River. Currently hanging out at a safe distance, watching a herd of bison out in the distance over here. I have seen bison in Yellowstone. I have seen bison in Custer State Park in the Black Hills of South Dakota. So this is not my first time seeing them. I've also seen them in Colorado. But anyway, they're always so cool to see. And also this particular spot I'm at, I don't think it has a name, but it's one of the areas in the park that also has a bunch of prairie dogs. So they've all been like doing their little barks and like coming up and out of their little holes. So it's just an enjoyable kind of viewing area. So the south unit of Theodore Roosevelt National Park is definitely the more popular portion of it. There is a wildlife loop road that goes through the park, and part of it is under construction right now, and it's been under construction, so you can't do the whole thing. So you basically have to do part of it and then come back out the same way you came in. And it can take at least 2 hours, assuming you don't stop and see anything along the way. I only did about, I don't know, 10 miles through the park. I don't have time to be in here for 2-3 hours checking everything out, stopping and, getting stuck in these lines of cars. People do stop in the middle of the road to look at these herds of bison without a care in the world that you are on a motorcycle. So definitely keep a distance between yourself and any vehicles that are in here so that if you need to, you have an escape plan, whether that means turning around and going somewhere else or just being able to go around the vehicle that's sitting in the middle of the road looking at animals. So it's definitely a wild park. And the lady at the front also mentioned to me that they are in a rut right now. Rut season is their mating season, which is from July to like September, and that's pretty much any bison herd in North America from my understanding. So whether you're going to Sturgis or you're going to Yellowstone this time of year, it's something like you just kind of have to consider with these animals. But yeah, I think it's time for me to go back into town though and grab some ice cream, because I feel like that's kind of what I need to tie today's video off. So let's get back into town. Now earlier when I was getting gas right here in town, this is the one spot in town that has gas. It's only 87 and it's these super old pumps. And I don't think there's another gas station within like 30 miles of this place. So if you need gas, this is it. But anyway, I went inside to pay because you have to prepay inside, and I asked the guy what ice cream spot in town he would recommend to get a scoop of ice cream other than getting tubs of ice cream in their little general store here. And he recommended going right across the street over here to the Fudge and Ice Cream Depot. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and check that out. I wish that I had time to do more in this town. There are hotels, there are like eateries here. There is like a cool old saloon right here called the Little Missouri that I've heard is pretty cool, but I just can't do it all in one trip. But anyway, let's go grab some ice cream. I got the 3 scoop here. I got huckleberry because I'm about to head into Montana, and that's the thing you have to do in Montana. So I feel like it's just like the perfect flavor to go into Montana with. And then I also got caramel swirl as well as Juneberry cheesecake, because pretty much anytime there's a cheesecake flavor, y'all know I'm gonna get it. So let's go ahead and try. I think this top one is actually the cheesecake. It's nice and creamy. It's got like graham cracker all up in it. It's super good. I feel like these are all gonna like mix together. So I'm gonna go ahead and try the caramel one before it melts too much. It's just like a hint of caramel, which is honestly perfect. And last but not least, the huckleberry. Super sweet. I think the caramel one's my favorite. Yeah, definitely the caramel. Well, y'all, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had fun riding across North Dakota with me today. I have about a 50-mile ride until I get to my first spot in Montana. Over the next 4 days, I will be riding through Southeast Montana on behalf of Visit Montana and showing you guys all kinds of places to eat and historical sites and all kinds of cool stuff. So I can't wait to do that. I've got a pretty cool spot to watch the sunset picked out for the night, but you guys are gonna have to watch that video next. But until the next one, I'll see you on the road. Later, y'all.